Welcome back to SiteGrinder, a hint at a time. This time I have a very small little web page that has a header graphic that I would like to fill the browser window as it builds. To show you what's not working, let's just go ahead and build it as it is right now. As you can see, it's a pretty simple file. It's really just got the one graphic layer in it, a couple texts, and the browser background color layer, which we saw before. Let's go ahead and build this out. We'll open up SiteGrinder 3. It's going to scan the file, tell us if there's any problems. There are none. So let's just go ahead and build this. And in just a moment, we'll be looking at the built page. There we have it. And once again, we can see the type of problem that we've got here. This header graphic is not, it looks great in the Photoshop file because it goes from the edges of our canvas, but it doesn't fill up the browser window, so it just gets sort of suspended there. So that's the problem we're going to fix right now. Now, to get this working, we need two things. First, we need a layer that's going to be named browser background, and that's the easy part. The more difficult part is a browser background layer needs to use one of two layer effects. It needs to use either the gradient overlay layer effect or the pattern overlay layer effect. In this particular time, I'm going to use the pattern overlay, and I'm going to use this because a lot of people don't understand exactly how to make patterns in Photoshop. So that's the first part, and I'm going to define a pattern in Photoshop. So I'm going to take the rectangular marquee tool here, and I'm just going to select just that little bit of this header graphic that I want to repeat over and over horizontally. So just a little sliver selection. So I think that'll be sufficient. And then I'm going to come to the Photoshop's edit menu, and I'm going to say define pattern. And then we'll call this blue brown sliver. We'll name this in Photoshop. We'll name this blue brown sliver, and just say OK there. That's great. And then I'm going to take this header graphic that I've already got here. I'm going to rename this browser background, and I'm going to apply the pattern overlay layer effects to it. And then I'm going to choose the blue brown sliver, and we are set. And we're all good. Now the browser background layer needs to be low in the layers palette. It can be above the browser background color layer, but it shouldn't be above any other content layers. And let's just go ahead and see how this builds out. Now, before I do that, actually, one other thing I want to point out. We want a horizontally repeating pattern. We want this pattern to, extend width-wise to the right and to the left as the browser window is extended, but we don't want it to go anywhere else. If we want that, for this type of header graphic, we make sure that the pattern, the layer itself, touches the top of the browser, the left edge of the browser, and the right edge of the browser, but does not touch the bottom edge of the browser. If this pattern layer was completely touching all four sides of the canvas, then SiteGrinder is going to conclude that you want it to repeat in both the X and the Y direction, that you want it to repeat vertically as well as horizontally, which is, for a header pattern like this, is most assuredly not what you want. You definitely want this to repeat horizontally only. So, but we do have it set up that way, so I'm just going to go ahead and say automate SiteGrinder 3. It's going to scan and let us know if there's any problems. I hope there are none. Well, there don't seem to be any. That's good. Let's just go ahead and build this. And once again, Photoshop's doing its little magic, outputting the graphics, doing the compositing. SiteGrinder, meanwhile, is writing out the HTML and the CSS. And it looks like it's done here. And look at that. I'll just go ahead and close the design manager here. And now, no matter how wide or narrow the browser window is, this pattern is extending the width of the browser window. Well, that's fantastic. This is a very common type of thing that people want on their web pages, and as I've shown you, it's very simple. Remember, when you're using a browser background layer, you can also use the gradient layer effects. A lot of people find it very easy to use the gradient layer effects tool for setting up these same sort of things that you see here, and then they find pattern a little harder. It's really strictly to taste. All right, well, thank you very much.